stick a few times and then eventually die. You're like, okay, I'm getting it. And you progress and you progress. And you slowly realize that there's more and more in this game. There's more pages. You find more pages. It tells you more things. You find some pages that don't really look quite like a tutorial. You actually can't understand what it means, or like it's just like an image, or there's some text, but it's in this almost like code like writing. You're like, this is weird, right? You're like, am I supposed to know how to read this? What is this? And you'll have this immediate, like, kind of almost like a feeling that you're like, okay, there's something here, and you have to make a decision pretty much immediately, right? And the game's not going to prompt you with this decision. It's a decision you, as a player, make in your head. You make a decision right in your head of, what is this, and should I look it up? All right? Should I look up what this means? Like what the deal is with this game? What this page means? What should I do with it? And you're going to have to make that decision. And I would say looking up anything for this game is a disservice to it. All right? You every time you open Google for an answer, every time you open a forum, every time you rob yourself of figuring it out yourself, you haven't ruined the game. You know, some people really, they're not in it to solve all the puzzles themselves. They're not in it to do all that. But if you do look up an answer, if you do, search up what this code means or whatever, you immediately take something away from yourself of figuring it out on your own. Because I assure you, throughout the entire game, you can get through the whole game, the whole base game, problem-free without knowing the language. You can get through the whole game. Now, you can complete the game, beat the boss, and you'll be good. But then you'll really understand, right? You never figured out the language. You can honestly never look at any of the pages, and you can just fumble your way through the game, and you'll be just fine, right? You'll have a harder time for sure, but you'll be fine. But if you look at the pages, try to interpret what all the things show you, you'll start clicking some things. There'll be some pictures, some drawings on the manual in pen, like you used to do with old manuals. And you'll start to piece together an idea of how to solve certain puzzle, how to fight certain enemies. And you'll start piecing it together. And if you do that, you'll get to the second part of the game when you realize that there's a whole set of secret collectibles that you need to collect. All right? And you'll figure that out. You'll see a page in the back of the book that tells you, it's like a circle, and it tells you that there's like items. There's items for you to collect. So you start collecting it, and there's numbers in these circles, and those circles determine pages, and you notice that on all of the pages, like a little clue, there's a little bit of pen marking on like maps of like the map of the area, right? So you look in those areas, and you notice there is something weird there. There's like a weird like set of rocks, and you do something in the rocks or whatever, and you realize, oh, I've unlocked a collectible. And then you find a room one day, and then you see all the collectibles in the same sort of circle that you saw on that one page, and you're like, okay, I am understanding this now. You're piecing another layer of the game. You've already beaten the boss in theory. I mean, not all of us can beat the boss right away. It's a really hard fight. I understand if you can't, but if if you can get through the whole game, but you realize that's not it. There's still pages that don't make sense, and you look past that, and you get to some clues, and you're piecing it together, and slowly you get all of the items. And then eventually, I forget what comes after that. There's something with like fairies or something, I forget. But besides the collectibles and the fairies. It's either you get all the collectibles, you collect all the fairies or something like that. You end up getting the last page of the manual. You get pretty much all the pages of the manual. And then you realize that there's still an area you haven't unlocked yet. There's still a puzzle on the mountain, a door you haven't opened, and it's impossible to ignore. Not because it's always in your way, but because it's a hill, it's a mountain. You climb the mountain. What's on top of the mountain? You just need to know. You look and you see a door. You see this godforsaken door, and it's just closed. And you think to yourself when you first see it, you think, oh man, this door, it must have the final boss behind it. This must be what I need to do to beat the entire game. The final boss is under here. But you realize that's not the final boss. It can't be, because you beat the boss. You've beaten the boss. You know where the boss is. You fought it. So you must think, okay, it's got to be a secret boss. I just need to figure out how to open this door. So you get to a point and you're like, I can't seem to figure it out. I can't seem to get this going. And now you have to make that decision again, that same decision that you knowingly or unknowingly made at the start of this game, where you have to decide whether or not to look it up. Now, I'm not going to say don't look it up, because you want to understand that there's a payoff between running your head into a brick wall, trying to solve a puzzle you have no leads on, and then there's robbing yourself of any amount of time to solve it. It's like if someone asks you a question, and before you can even think about it, they've already shouted the answer out. That's you feel like you've been robbed of the chance to prove you could solve it, right? You don't want that, but you also don't want to be left thinking about it forever with no help or guidance if you just truly don't know what to think of it. So you have to make that decision. And you make that decision or whatever. You choose to power through it and figure it out. Scratch your head for a few more hours. Scribble on more pieces of paper, whatnot. And eventually you figure out, and this is a big spoiler. So I don't want to ruin this part for you guys, but this is truly just a beautiful thing. You realize that the solution to this puzzle has been in front of you the whole time. Maybe you even noticed part of it. You just didn't understand what it was for. And you realize how ingenious this entire puzzle this whole game has been. Of course, the answer to this door that's been here since just about the beginning of the game. It's just been taunting you over and over again as you climb this hill looking for more solutions, more hidden treasures. You finally figure out that the whole time the solution to this puzzle has been in your pause menu. It's been the manual. And you start to understand that the code to this door is on every single page of this book. Is just about every page is a little bit of a yellow line. And if you put all those lines together in the order that is drawn to you on a separate page, you realize it opens the door you were so confused about earlier. You piece them all together, then you realize they all connect. And then you go to the door, because you realize that page the whole time. How do I get this off? So sorry, guys. There we go. I'd rather have a hole than a bump, I guess. I don't know. You realize the whole time that another one of these solved puzzles is the solution to not the solved puzzle, but this one page that's been confusing you since you got it, as it should, is actually the door that you've been trying to open. You figure that out. Whether or not you figure that out soon or late, doesn't matter. You understand that now all these numbers are not just random numbers, they're actually the number of pages in the book, the manual. Then on each one of those pages, there's a secret line. You follow those lines, you input that code, and then you open that door that you're oh so certain must be the final secret boss, the true ending to the game. It has to be. I mean, every challenge has led to a boss. Why would it do anything less? It's what all games do. You beat what is the final boss, and then, oh, what's that? There's some more endgame content, a harder, more challenging boss. It's got to be what's behind this mountain. It's got to be why you're in this game. You've been gearing up all this time. You open the door, you go through the door, you get to the top of this mountain. This mountain you've been trying to climb since you've seen it. And you get up there, and on there is just another page of the manual. And you think to yourself, how could that be? I've gotten them all. I have every page. I've seen the back of the book. I don't understand. You grab it and you realize the whole time, there's one thing missing in the manual that you didn't even consider missing. It's nothing more than just the cover of the book. And you get it. You get the whole book, and you get the credits, you get everything. And you see that, like, at the end it was just to complete the manual. But then you go back to that final boss. If you go back to that final boss, you go up to it. You don't fight it. You don't attack it. There's no fight between you and the boss. It's no longer hostile. It's just the final boss again, with her sword down. You go up to her, and then you get the true ending. And it's just a beautiful ending. And then you understand that it wasn't about the true ending isn't about fighting a boss, being the best fighter in the game. It's definitely more than that. It was to truly experience a puzzle throughout the entire game. That's what he wanted. He made a great game that was fun to play, but at the end, it was all about the puzzle that he put through that entire thing, that had all the answers in front of you, that slowly, bit by painstaking bit, you realize the answer was not in the next room, or you had to get one more page. It was damn near every time already in front of you, and you just needed to think a little harder. And then you get that final ending, you pop that last trophy as I did, and you realize that there's still more to the game. There's still more things for you to do, and you're like, how is this possible? And you realize this person who so clearly loved puzzle making, so clearly enjoyed the craft of a puzzle, you realize that he couldn't simply stop at a game full of a puzzle. No, instead he continued that puzzle outside of the game. And in a classic indie developer fashion, they made an ARG that I do not have the patience for, so I looked up and I watched a video, and it was very interesting. I know that's a climactic conclusion to my Tunic rant, but yes, it's a fantastic game that shows how good a puzzle can really be in a game, how much effort someone can put in to a game they like. And you can clearly see the difference between a company that's looking for money and a company that's looking, a person, an individual who wants nothing more than to make the perfect game, put every last bit of effort in, fill it to the brim, only release a product that is completed and perfect in their eyes. It really is just a beautiful game. And that's why I give Tunic a stunning 10 out of 10 for just a fantastic game. The combat, excellent, enjoyable. The combat was beautiful. The puzzles were difficult but fair. It was just it really shows you what you can do when you care about a game. It is a 10 out of 10 game, and I'm not saying a 10 out of 10 game because I love puzzles and I think it was a really fun puzzle game. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10 because it sought out to do something. It attempted it, it did it, and it landed perfectly. There was no fail. And there was no spot where I thought, there's one spot, I'll talk about that in a second. There was damn near no issues in that game. No bugs, no moments where I thought it was just unjust for no reason. Don't play any clips of me fighting the bosses, but I truly do feel as though he made a great game with no big issues. That's why I give it a 10 out of 10. It's not, is it my favorite game? That's not what a 10 out of 10 is. A 10 out of 10 is, what did they go for? How well was it executed? Would you recommend it? And if you could get the same experience again, would you play it again? And without a shadow of a doubt, if I could forget every solution to every puzzle, forget how the first time I played Tunic, would I play it again? Absolutely. Absolutely. If I was left with only my opinion left of Tunic, no information of the game, would I want to play it again? Yes, absolutely. I'd play it again in a heartbeat. Could I play it again? Unfortunately, probably not. Unfortunately, probably not. And now, I think it's only fair that I elaborate on what is the main issue I had with Tunic. That stops me from saying it had no flaws. And it's a simple one. When you use an item and then you die, the item's gone. The item's gone. So if you fight a boss and you're using items and then you die, you don't spawn back at a save. You spawn back at your checkpoint with all the items you used gone. So it just left you in this kind of like, it didn't make you want to use items, it was just kind of dumb. It was just dumb. That's my opinion on that. But that's my opinion on Tunic. And I'm going to read what you guys were saying now. Okay, here we go. The idea was to use the laptop to stream video on. Dude, my computer can actually run one of. You enabled me to actually stream Steam games. What do you think of my face cube? If you're struggling. If you were struggling enough, I'd come over and help. Lol. It was very nice. Profile picture. Oh, your head in the bed. Dude, when did that happen? Oh, God. I've been ranting about Tunic for a while. Oh, still here? Oh, thank God. Wait, why does it say 11 on my... Dude, all the times are wrong. Is it soon? Dude, so my computer says it's 7, my watch says it's midnight, and Twitch is telling me it's 11. So nothing's right. But yeah, that's my review on Tunic. It's a fantastic game. Fantastic game. Would I recommend others play or even stream Tunic? I think absolutely. I know there's one person. I know one person in particular who would watch your stream, and that's Hypercube. That's actually the stream. That's the game I streamed that made Hypercube watch and follow. And now I guess he's not Hypercube anymore. He's a cube-shaped duck. But we all know the truth. Yeah. Don't worry. Cube is a fantastic viewer only in regards to making sure that you experience a game with being spoiler free. I hope you can just mentally prepare yourself for dealing with seeing the same face every time you ask a question, because they're going to let you struggle to the very last second to figure this out. And I do think Cube does a fantastic job with that. Yeah, I think absolutely. If you like puzzles, you don't mind thinking for a while, definitely recommend other people play, stream, just enjoy Tunic. Absolutely. No, I only hope my only wish for you is that you can forget everything I've said, all but my outstanding review of 10 out of 10, what every puzzle game should aspire to be almost. Cube is a... Ooh, did I just get... Whatever, I got paint on it. It's fine. Yeah. Fantastic game. Unfortunately, it seems like Cube's leaving shortly. But I don't know, we can talk about The Witness next. We have the same time zone, dude. It's striking o'clock. Good. That's huge. That's a big win. What other puzzle games are there? What's your opinion? All right, there's one other. Okay. If you want another game that I hold in a very similar regard, it's Animal Well. I think Animal Well does an amazing job. The puzzle doesn't end. It really doesn't. The puzzle doesn't end in that game. I don't think they've ever solved it. I think they're still working on it. But that is another game that has a really just such a kind, super cool way of leaving the player to discover and solve the game. So that's certainly that's a game I hold in a similar vein to Tunic. Unfortunately, I will say it's more of a 9 out of 10. I still think there were some moments where it's like, okay, it doesn't really give you hints the same way Tunic did, where they gave you that manual that's in a different language, and you can figure out the solution. It's like decode that whole entire language, and read the manual. But it is, it's a very, Animal Well is, if you liked Tunic because it was hands off with you figured out how to solve it, not the game telling you how to do it. If you didn't want the manual and you wanted to brute force your way, trying new stuff, Animal Well is the game to play next. If you thought, like I did, that the manual giving you a hint in a different, telling you how to do it in a different language with pictures was beautiful, well-balanced way of giving hints and cues to how solving it, then you're going to not like Animal Well as much, but you will still enjoy it. You will enjoy Animal Well. Animal Well is a game where you have to figure out your own combos, your own interactions with items. It's got a super fun array of items. And a crazy, if you're really into ARGs, a crazy ARG that somehow it's just insane. Another example of someone who truly cares about puzzles. If you're a big puzzle guy, and I mean, I'm not talking like Tetris, I'm not talking Candy Crush, I'm talking actual ingenious puzzle design with crazy solutions that are not just difficult. It's almost intuitive with how you're supposed to think about this. When you hear the solution to this puzzle, this area, this issue, you're like, that makes so much sense. You can see how you were supposed to figure that out. So you don't feel like most of there's some puzzles where it's like, okay, but how you feel as almost though you know how you were supposed to solve that. If you do give up, if you do look up the answer, and there's nothing wrong with that, but yeah. I would say 10 out of 10 Tunic, 9 out of 10 Animal Well. I have to give okay, there's another puzzle game, and if you play Tunic or Animal Well, you will recommend it. And, Be buyer beware. This game is it's kind of draining. I'm gonna be real. And if you go for all the trophies, you will be I don't even know how to say it. You will be distraught. But it is The Witness. The Witness is another puzzle game. Similar. Holy crap! I'm huffing fumes here, guys. I don't need this heater on. I'm turning it off. But yeah, The Witness. The Witness is another puzzle game that I think does a fantastic job with the idea of puzzle. It really does. I can't discredit The Witness. Once again, it followed that similar suit of, I'm not teaching you how to do it. I'm not going to write out a tutorial. I'm not going to type it out and have you read or watch a video on how to complete a puzzle, right? It's another one of those hands-off approaches. And I would say, if I was to give a ranking of gives you the most help to least help, right? I would put The Witness at the bottom, like it gives you the most help. Okay, I guess we'll do it top to bottom. The most help is The Witness. All right. And then Tunic is a perfect middle ground of like hints to individual like trying and exploration. And then the final one being Animal Well, which has no guide pretty much. Doesn't tell you how items work or what to do. It's just play with it, right? There's not a lot of buttons. So what The Witness does is it will show you a puzzle. If you've ever played the mobile game like Flow, you would know how this game works. But basically, you have to draw a line and connect it to a point. And the way it works is there's a bunch of other small like conditions on each level that you are gonna like basically just follow. You're gonna figure out. The first one is like you have to split it up so you can't have the same color. Basically, you trace out a box, and in that box, like if you drew, like you had a line coming up on the side of this grid, you have to box out. You have to make a box where this one color is in there twice. That's like an example. Or you'll see a shape and you have to draw out that shape. And you basically have to figure that out. I'll give you an easy puzzle to figure out. And that's you understanding the mechanic, right? And then after that, they'll bump it up again. They'll give you another puzzle to unlock another thing that's a little harder, right? And they'll just keep bumping up the difficulty. And in that regard, it's a lot of fun. It's like, okay, it's getting harder, but I don't feel like they left me astray. They gave me a tutorial to think about what this does, and then it gives you a harder one, and then it combines different conditions and such, and it does a really good job at that. The reason I give this a 5 instead of an 8 or 9 or even higher is what it does is it's so many puzzles. It's so many puzzles. It's like unapologetic about how many puzzles. So it gets to this point where this guy makes elaborate puzzles with this simple concept. Very impressive. Super draining. Like insanely draining. So it's more like it feels more like a jab at like, it feels like okay, so it's like if someone's really passionate about something, they'll talk your ear off about it with like very disregard to how much fun you're having. And I don't want to sound like, oh, I didn't have fun with the puzzles. The puzzles were fun. It's just that the game didn't really know when to stop. But if you really like this puzzle style, it's gonna be really great for you. But like they'll just talk your ear off with this one puzzle. They'll just keep talking and talking. It'll keep giving these puzzles and stacking them, and it doesn't really give you a direction on where to go. You'll start figuring out. I mean, you'll get an area, you'll solve a big puzzle, series of puzzles. You'll get to one room, you'll solve one more puzzle, and then you'll turn on a room. You turn on the room, you're like, okay, this made sense, right? And then it points a laser beam to this mountain. Once again, the game's pulling your attention to a mountain. So you kind of figure out where you're supposed to go and where you're supposed to go. Like how you're supposed to get, what you're supposed to accomplish. So it's not like, oh, I didn't know where to go. You know where to go. But you get to a point where you're just like, holy shit. I'm going to go to this place and there's going to be another puzzle. You know what I mean? But they get pretty ingenious with like how to like, the guy gets pretty ingenious with how to vary up these puzzles. So they're not all exhausting. It's not like the same puzzle 1,000 times. There are a lot of puzzles. Cube could tell you how many. But yeah, it's a lot of one. It's a lot of a good thing, which makes it kind of like not insufferable. I can't stress that this game is not bad. But it's just a lot of one thing. And that can lead to like exhaustion, and you probably won't ever finish it if you get tired of it. But I can't say it was bad. It was just too much. It's too much. If you spaced it out more, you came back to it every now and then, I'm sure you would have more fun with it, but you'd have to